it was because of Maduro heavily aligning with China and Russia. More China than Russia, actually. And when we invaded, or well, when we did our military attack or extraction of Maduro, well, there were Chinese radars, Chinese missiles, Russian missiles, Iranian drones. So it kind of goes to show who had heavy influence in Venezuela just off their weaponry alone.
Left us a mess. We're getting rid of the mess. He had open borders. He had an open border policy. So Maduro came in and let all of his criminals into the United States because of Biden's open border. They didn't even question. They'd look at some people, they say, they're criminals. I don't want to get into it. They'd say, they're criminals. And it's, come on in.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is getting them out. And believe me, it takes a big part of my time. This was a self-imposed error. This was just a terrible. What they did to this country can never be forgotten. He was the worst president. And what Biden did, and, you know, it's the people that use the auto pen, you can call it a lot of different things. But he was surrounded by people, the beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office, which I'll show you right after this.
I'll be real with you. He was surrounded by people who literally took advantage of his mental decline. I mean, at a certain point, we all knew Biden was mentally declining at us. And let's be real, like Biden was not running the White House, or was not running America during his last 2 years. It sounded like it was his staffers, according to Jake Tapper, you know, him finally deciding to tell the truth after we were trying to tell him for all 4 years under Biden. But apparently we were conspiracy theorists, ages, all this, you know, wild stuff just to get away from the fact that, yeah, Biden is mentally declining in front of all of our eyes. So in my honest opinion, yeah, I don't believe that Biden was actually running the United States those last 2 years. I don't believe Biden really wanted to get into it with Russia because he's an old politician. Like, Biden's been around for a minute. He's been around since Clinton. I mean, like, way before Clinton, actually. And he heard Clinton said, hey, yo, it's not a good idea for Ukraine to join Russia. He even heard Obama say, yo, it's not a good idea for Ukraine to join not Russia, but NATO. It's not a good idea for Ukraine to join NATO. This has been spread throughout American policy for like 3 decades. That, yeah, it's not a good idea for NATO to let in Ukraine, or for Ukraine to get into NATO, or else Russia's going to act. We knew this for decades. But for some reason, under the Biden administration, and with Biden having all this political experience, just said, F it, that's out the door. Let's just go ahead and try to get into it with Russia. Even though his predecessors warned him not to.
But it's beautiful, but it was surrounded by radical left lunatics. And what they did to this country can never be forgotten. They let in millions of criminals. You know, you have probably 25 million people that were let into this country, and no checking, no vetting, no anything. Many of them came from prisons. Many of them came from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers. They just let them into our country.
Yeah.
Oh, man, let's not forget about the asylum seekers. Like the ones that have BS stories. They don't corroborate these stories. They can just sit there and say, oh, I'm in danger in my country. And they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Without corroborating or anything. They just walk up to the border and just say, oh, I'm in danger. But not really. They just want to get into America.
And I've got to get them out.
Iran, you mentioned in the press conference today that you did in the briefing room.
No, literally, like guys pulling up to the border like,
I'm in danger.
Now, please let me into your country.
With reporters that they canceled, or at least put on hold, hundreds of hangings that were scheduled. However, there are reports that they are still burning thousands of protesters alive. They also issued an assassination threat against you over the weekend. I know that you can't talk about what's on the table, but what is your response to Iran's leadership and their regime continuing to taunt you, threaten you, especially given over the weekend you said it's time for new leadership in Iran?
Well, they shouldn't be doing it, but I've left notification. Anything ever happens, we're going to blow the whole country is going to get blown up
over a person.
So,
and this is kind of what I'm a bit weary of. I'm like, so we're getting involved over a protest that doesn't really involve us whatsoever. And we're willing to bomb Iran over their prisoners. I know what everybody says, oh, Seth, but they was fighting for freedom and all this good stuff. And I'm just like, okay, great. So imagine if this happened in our country, where it's basically happening right now. We got a whole bunch of people who don't agree with the president, is doing, is out there trying to subvert federal law right now. So if we go out there, right, and imprison those people, can you imagine if like Russia said, well, if you execute any of those people, we'll strike America? Like, wait, what? Like, bro, these are our prisoners. Who are you? So I'm kind of looking at us the same way. Like, bro, these are their prisoners. So you're really about to bomb them, get into them over their prisoners. No Americans in there whatsoever, just theirs. Don't think that's a very smart idea.
We've, originally Biden should have said something, when they made a statement. We always said, why isn't Biden saying anything? Because he didn't. But a president has to defend a president. Like if I were here and they were making that threat to somebody, even not even a president, but somebody like they did with me, I would absolutely hit them so hard. But I have very firm instructions. Anything happens, they're going to wipe them off the face of this earth.
This is day 365 of your first term back in office, but it's also been 9 years since the first time you came into the White House as the president.
You knew me right at the beginning, too.
I did indeed. It seems like your team is having some fun. You're not only the commander-in-chief, but there's also a little some trolling in chief going on with the internet wars. Are you enjoying your time back on the internet and talking to your detractors, maybe some people you're opposed to, through some humor, while also having rigorous debates?
Well, it's really a way of communicating today that you didn't have in the past. It's good. I guess I've been pretty good at it. But it's a way of defending yourself against the fake news. You have such bad, I don't know why they're that way. I don't know why. Why would they want to have criminals in our country? Why would they want to have men playing in women's sports or transgender for everybody, as I say? It's like, why would they do it? But that's the media. The media is very biased, very unfair. We have a very unfair media in this country. So with the internet, we can, I guess, look, I won. We can more than make up for what they do.
So one of your legacy items has been freeing hostages all over the world. Israeli hostages, American hostages. American Dennis Coyle has been taken hostage by the Taliban for almost a year now. Jesus. His family has been speaking out. Molly Long went on News Nation last week to ask for some more public attention to this case. What is your administration doing to get him home?
Well, if you give me the name.
Dennis Coyle.
Okay, you give me some information, I'll take care of that.
I know that your administration is working on it.
I know they are, but I could do some things on the internet that are pretty.
Do you have any response or message to the Taliban?
I mean, yeah, because the Taliban got an X too. I mean, that's the funny thing about the internet. I mean, even the Taliban got a couple accounts out there on X mainly. Yes, I know the terrorist organizations have X accounts. I mean, shoot, if Khomeini got one, which you don't think Al-Qaeda got one, you don't think ISIS got one? Yeah, they all got one. So Trump pretty much puts something out on the internet, and whatever Trump writes go viral on the internet. Yes, the Taliban will catch wind of it.
For who continues to hold him for no crime, for simply
enough.
Well, I'm not happy about them holding anybody, and especially if he's not guilty of anything. And it sounds, I mean, from what I've heard, and again, I'm not that familiar with it like you are, but I will certainly take a very strong position on it.
So you pointed out a ton of your accomplishments throughout the last 365 days. You brought a much thicker book today to the briefing than this one. What do you want your legacy to be now that you have 3 years left in your term?
I would love my legacy to be that I was a great president, and a great president covers a lot of territory. We were safe, we were prosperous, we were doing well, we were happy as a country. I'd like to be known as a great president. A great president takes it all in.
You have a different cabinet structure this time around. The first term, you had a lot of turnover in the cabinet. It caused a lot of political capital to be spent. It was a distraction from the work that you're trying to do with your agenda. This time around, you have lots of different people in your cabinet from different kinds of backgrounds, many of them from the private sector. How do you manage keeping everybody on the same team? It seems like everyone this time around is rowing in the same direction. Very different attitude than last time around.
Mm-hmm. We had a really successful first term. I rebuilt the military. We got the biggest tax cuts in history, biggest regulation cuts in history. You know that. I mean, we had one of the most.
And what she means is by I think the best example of of Trump's first term, when people go in the other direction, would be John Bolton. So when Trump was trying to, settle things with North Korea, we got John Bolton over here screaming in the North Korean officials' faces, going like, oh, you do that, or we'll bomb the shit out of you. Pretty much getting buck wild on the North Koreans to a point where Trump had to send this man somewhere else. And John Bolton never forgave Trump for it because, Trump isn't really a war hawk like that. And he is. So when John Bolton wasn't getting his way with his war hawk agenda with Trump, this is why he turned against Trump. This is why a lot of Trump's first term failed, because he wasn't a war hawk. If Trump was a war hawk, all these guys would have snapped in line and they would have been happy to do whatever the president said. But because he wasn't, they were willing to turn around and stab him in the back.
Really the most successful economy in the history of our country. And the first term was great, but it was corrupted by fake, but the fake news, the fake politicians, everything, Russia, the hoax of the century, all of the different things. And in a way, I was the hunted. And now I'm more of the hunter, I must tell you. Mm-hmm. And these are bad people. These are sick people. I don't know, something wrong with them. But this is more pleasurable. There's no question about it. But my first term was one of the most successful presidencies. But literally, I was hunted by these horrible people.
America has a very big birthday this year, 250 years. Right. Have you ever sat to, thought about reflecting on the fact that you're the president now, George Washington was the president many, many years ago, and what that means for you as an American and what it means for the country?
Oh, it's so interesting because I was the president and we had a great election against Hillary Clinton. Then the next election was rigged like nobody's ever seen, and all the numbers are out, but more are coming out. It was 100% rigged. And the good part is this is such an important presidency, and I'm not sure I could have had the same impact if it were more normalized, because, the impact is big. This has been a very important presidency. It's a much stronger presidency than the first term, and yet the first term we had, I rebuilt the military. I did things that were incredible in the first term, but this, I think, is blowing it away. It's going to blow it away. There is somebody that you are very familiar with that wrote something. I won't mention names. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but they said that, but not somebody that necessarily would write well about me, said this is probably the best first year their president has ever had. And if you look at that list that you have there, and that's a small version of it, but nobody's done more than we've done. When the biggest tax cuts in history, the biggest regulation cuts in history, all of the military victories that we've had. I mean, we've really, and we're respected all over the world again. I mean, we were laughed at. Think of it. A year and a half ago, we were a joke. We were considered a joke. Be
real with you. Ever since we started using that military might, I mean, shoot, we're not a joke no more. Everybody who was laughing at Trump, like in his first, term, talk about, Greenland. Okay, bro. Now they're like, whoa, he took Venezuela. Yeah, we might actually have to worry about Greenland. Oh, he's not backing off of Greenland. Okay, now this man is dead serious. Everybody was laughing until Trump started getting serious. And now, I mean, the libs are just, crying all day long. I mean, we even got some of the guys on our side that's going like, well, what about no new wars? And I'm like, well, are we at war with Venezuela? No. Are we going to go to war with Greenland? No. And if we take Greenland, you think that NATO is really going to want to go to war with us while they are also worried about Russia? No. So Trump is actually playing this strategically well. He's hitting these guys at a very vulnerable moment where they cannot military react or they will decimate themselves.
Nation. A year and a half ago, as the king of Saudi Arabia said, a year and a half ago, you were a dead nation. Now you're the hottest. We are the hottest nation anywhere in the world. And I love saying it. We are now the hottest nation anywhere in the world, and it's not even close.
Is there something that you wanted to happen last year that didn't? Is there something that you think your administration could have done better?
Well, last year, you mean last term?
Last year, you're during your first year in your second term, or during your first term?
Year. So I would say this. I think we're clicking on all cylinders. I don't want to get greedy and say, oh, gee, I wish I could have done this. Crime is at an all-time low, despite the fact that we inherited many criminals from the Biden open border policy. So crime is at an all-time low. Our military is doing unbelievable. We are the most powerful military in the world. We showed that with Iran. If you look at the Iran nuclear attack, we knocked out their nuclear capability, which was a big thing, which led to peace in the Middle East. We actually have peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was possible. The recent Venezuela attack was incredible. No, from a military standpoint, strategically, people have never seen anything like it. It's been amazing. So I don't think I can ask for the economy. We have the number one, we have the best economy we've ever had. And by the way, prices are coming way down.
On the economy, you've made it clear that you want to transfer the U.S. economy from one that's based on federal government subsidies and employment to more of a private sector economy.
Yeah.
Where are you in that transition process?
Good. I mean, look, I hate to fire people.
Because here's the problem, though. It's like all these government subsidies is making these corporations spoiled. It's like they don't even try to make things better to where they can lean off government subsidies. They just actually depend on them like the farmers do. I mean, it's not, and the farmers is just one of the best examples. There's other places we give subsidies to where we're pretty much just propping up these businesses. Oh, insurance companies. Remember the ACA subsidies that goes to insurance companies, you know, to what? Make a healthcare more affordable. And look how that failed. I mean, we were paying subsidies to these farmers under the Biden administration. I mean, well, they can't really help inflation, but look how that worked out for us. So government subsidies doesn't guarantee the success of these corporations or lower prices. So we do got to come up with something else where the American people aren't footing the bill for these corporations. Because, I mean, let's be real. They're getting rich off these subsidies while we continue to suffer. But our money is going towards it, though.
But we fired hundreds of thousands of federal employees because we had 10 people to do one job. And those people probably didn't like it very much. And now they're in the private sector and they're getting 2 and 3 times more money and they're doing well. And the only way a country can make it, you can't have too many government jobs because that's not a job that's going to, as we say, make America great again. So those people have now transitioned into the private sector. I could give you the greatest numbers ever. I'll just hire 1 million or 2 million federal workers tomorrow, and you'll see that we're going to be at 2.5% as opposed to 3% or 3.5%. You could do anything. That's what the Democrats do. They hire people to work in the federal government. Then they say they have good unemployment numbers. Okay, I don't do that, and it's easy to do, and it looks good. But ultimately, you can't build a country that way. Our country is doing unbelievably well. We have great unemployment numbers, and we really, I mean, many of these people have transitioned already from the federal government into private jobs.
You expressed some frustration earlier that your message of your accomplishments is not getting out. Why do you think that is? I mean, you're talking about all these lowered prices, inflation has gone down, mortgage rates are below 6% for the first time in many years. What do you attribute to you feeling like you can't get your accomplishments highlighted?
Inflation is down to a very low number. You want it to be at the number it is at now. Last month, it was down to 1%.
Look, I'm not going to say Trump's performance on the economy is absolutely perfect, but to compare to what the Dems were saying all last year, it is basically perfect. I mean, what happened in April with the tariff? They said, oh, this is about to be an economic downturn, about to go through a recession. Prices are going to skyrocket across the board, but prices didn't skyrocket across the board. Actually, prices went down. I mean, we didn't go through an economic recession. Actually, we've been seeing positive GDP growth, especially towards the end of the year. So all that doomsday that the Dems were doing kind of makes it seem like Trump is having a perfect economy. If they just spend more time shutting their mouth, then they'd be able to actually call out some critiques. But it's hard to call out critiques when you were the main one saying that, oh, everything's going to be bad, but that didn't come out to be true.
And Biden had it. It was the highest inflation in history. And when I inherited this economy that he gave me, the prices were through the roof. I got them down. I mean, most prices are down now. Look at gasoline at $1.99 a gallon versus, I mean, we have many states where it's less than $1.99. It was $4.50, $5, $3.75, I guess, if sometimes. But basically, there were many times what it is right now. No, we've done a great job. I think the economy is phenomenal. We're rebuilding the military, continue to rebuild it. And again, right now, we're recognized as having the strongest military in the world. And I rebuilt the military in my first term.
How are you feeling about the midterm elections, the Republican Party? Do you have contingency plans in place if Democrats were to take either the House or the Senate, given that last time when Democrats were in charge?
I mean, shoot, focus on affordability and you won't have to do that. I mean, here's the thing. Like I said, if he could just point out how the Democrats run the most unaffordable states and cities, he'd be able to flip that argument on them. And then the people would be like, yo, yeah, why aren't you making things more affordable? Because it makes no sense how, and I think Trump needs to bring this up, how somebody in New York is paying 30% more in groceries than somebody in Ohio. And actually, it's even worse when you compare other red states, and the Dems like to sit there and cope by saying, well, nobody wants to live in there. I mean, bro, like, yeah, I mean, over 10 million plus people, nobody want to live there. Okay, bro. I mean, keep on going with that cope. But the fact of the matter is that life is cheaper in red states.
Of the House, they impeached you.
Oh, and they'll do it again. They'll find something. They'll impeach me for having a good economy or something.
Can you work with some of them, like Elizabeth Warren?
They got nowhere. Wasted a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money. It was a terrible thing. They're just very dishonest people. But they impeached me twice, once over a phone call that was absolutely perfect, the other one over perfect. And I will say the Republicans stuck with me 100%. But probably they will try and, they won't even have to try and fight. They'll take anything I do. They'll say, they'll impeach me because I did an interview with you. They'll impeach me because I looked to that side of the room. These are bad people. And these are bad people. You know, when Hillary Clinton did all of the bad stuff, I didn't want to destroy her. I said, I can't do it. And not so much Secretary of State. It was that she's the wife of a president, and I didn't want to do it. And yet they tried to do it to me, which is pretty.
No, you should have did it, bro. Because here's the thing. Since you didn't do it, they went full throttle on you. Maybe if you'd actually locked up Hillary and locked up more people in the deep state, they wouldn't have came after you so hard, because then they know it's like, all right, yeah, I mean, yeah, if we come after him, he's going to come after us. What they saw is that, oh, we can come after you and he's just going to spare us. And they took that moment of, well, kindness for weakness. And they just went balls to the wall on you, hit you with 34 felonies that are dropping through appeals court, I might add. But still, maybe if you did lock up Hillary that first term, we wouldn't be dealing with this, or you wouldn't have to deal with that during the election.
Pretty sad.
You're a builder, and that hasn't stopped since you came into the White House, especially in your first year. What is the status of the Arc de Trump that you want to put on, I believe, the Memorial Bridge?
That's going to be so great.
And also, what is the status of the construction of the ballroom?
Okay, so the ballroom's under budget, it's ahead of schedule. We're making it incredible. We're going to have inaugurations there. It's high ceilings and big space, can hold probably 5,000 to 6,000 people.
Oh, I mean, shout out to the horizontal live. For the first time ever, the horizontal live is doing better than the vertical live. I mean, that should show you a shadow ban right there and then. That should show you when the horizontal live is doing better than the vertical. That tells you a lot.
Door, bulletproof glass, everything.
And for those who've been complaining about the ballroom, what is the purpose of the ballroom? Why do we need a ballroom at the White House?
Because the White House was never built with a big room. It's got when we have a big guest here, they build a tent out on the lawn, and if it rains, you're in deep trouble. They have a tent, and it's the only place you can build it sort of at a low spot. If it rains, the water pours into the tent. The whole thing is a disaster. And I said, you know, after I would have done it the first term, but I was under such siege with all these crazy people that I really wanted to focus on that. I thought it was, and when I came back, I said, you know, we're going to get this White House a ballroom like they have never seen before. And it is a beauty. It's going to be the most beautiful ballroom in the world. But they need it. They can't use tents. Even from a safety standpoint, you can't use a tent. This is all bulletproof glass, drone-proof ceilings. And I think they're going to end up having all of because it's so cold on January 20th. And I think they'll end up having the inaugurations right in that ballroom. Think of it. You walk from the White House, it's just a short little walk through a very secure area. But I think because it's, number one, it's too cold. Number two, it gets unsafe out there.
It gets unsafe out there. You have experienced some threats. You've been attempted to be killed twice in assassination. We saw our dear friend Charlie Kirk killed last year.
Dangerous stuff.
Are you afraid for your safety? Do you worry about that? What about your family? I know that this tough.
I don't worry about it. And we have great people. And I feel that we're in good shape.
You're in good shape.
I think the Secret Service has done a great job. The military has done a great job. And one thing I know, if something happens, the person that did it is going to be gone because we are surrounded. You know, even as we speak, we are surrounded. But no, I feel very good. It's a job that has its dangers, if you think, right? You look at the percentages, it's probably the most dangerous job in the world. I was telling people, I guess it's 5.5% It's a bad number, 5.5%. That's all. You know what that means, right?
Why don't you tell me what that means?
If you're a race car driver, 0.1% die. If you're a bull rider, 0.1% die. If you're a president, it's 5.2%. That's a big difference. Why didn't you tell me, Katie, that this would happen? I could have done something else. Maybe I could have done something else. But
well, you decided to do it again.
Look, I love doing it because we're doing a great job. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Our country has turned around. We have the greatest country in the world. And again, we came from such a low standard. I believe that if Kamala won the election, this country would have been, even by now, 1 year, it would have been finished. We wouldn't be a country.
She wouldn't have closed the border. There'd have been an influx of immigration. Our social programs would have destabilized probably within the first 2 years because of how much illegals are getting through. They wouldn't have closed the border, and we'd have just been cooked. And social services would have completely fallen apart. Barely anybody would be able to get housing assistance, Medicaid, because it's all going to these new citizens that are fluctuating in. So, yeah, we'd have been cooked. Oh, and taxes would have rose. Yes. If you actually looked at Kamala Harris's tax plan, she was raising taxes on not only the rich, but the poor as well. Why? To keep funding the social services that they're going to be letting immigrants take over. Get funding off of while you're still paying for it. You can't get into it, but don't worry, though. Those illegals who just dumped over the border would have, and that would have been Kamala Harris's presidency just 2 years in. It'd have been a complete disaster. And I mean, we'd have seen a whole bunch of factories left because she'd have took the 21% corporate rate to 32. So all those companies would have just left. All manufacturing would have mainly got shut down. I mean, we'd have just been cooked.
Do you believe that there's a Republican presidential candidate in the future who can continue to carry on your legacy and the work that you'll be doing over the next 3 years?
I hope so. And we certainly have a good bench. We have some very talented people.
Do you have any favorites, or do you have any?
I do, but it's so early. I do actually, but it's so early that it's,
That could change if you want to tell me what they are now.
No, but we have great people. You see what's happening. I mean, the people that we have in so many, I'm not just talking about one or two. We have so many great people.
Who's so many?
Well, JD's been great. Marco's been great. Scott's been great. Everybody's been great. Look at
Scott's like the all-star to me. Scott Besson, he's the all-star. He had no scandals, no F-ups. And I mean, he's doing pretty good. Remember, we're talking about the Treasury guy, the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Besson. So as far as the economy goes, we're doing good. As far as these trade deals go, they're coming in. So there's really no complaints on Scott Besson. I mean, you can complain about Rubio. Of course, there's plenty of complaints about Pam Bondi and Cash Patel. Those are the two I think should be fired. And I mean, maybe the agriculture lady is doing good as well.
Tom Homan and Christie, the job they've done with security. Don't forget, we had people pouring in the millions that were just walking right into our country, destroying our country. We stopped it. We have I could name 20 people that are phenomenal.
In terms of the White House and how you've changed things around here, when you look at the Oval Office from your first term, it's very different than the Oval Office now. How do you decide which portraits you're putting in the Oval, what kind of decor you have in there? I know that you get a lot of gifts from foreign leaders when they come. How do you make decisions about what you want to be surrounded by when you're making these big decisions?
Well, it's just taste, but the White House and the Oval Office had very few paintings in it. Biden had one. Obama had, the American flag and, sort of a painting of the American flag, but they had very few paintings. And I spent a lot of time downstairs they have a vault where they have 1,000 paintings, beautiful paintings. Some of them hadn't been shown in 150 years, think of it. And they were incredible, of presidents, mostly of presidents, landscapes, other things, but mostly of presidents. And I spent a little time doing it. I love doing it. And I took out paintings there's a couple right here that are so unbelievable. Look all over the room. These are unbelievable art. And I researched it and I spent time doing it. And I took paintings that have been sealed for over 100 years, more than that, much more than that in some cases, and found great paintings. And we put them up for people to see. And cost nothing. We have them. We didn't have to go out and buy them. They're there. Yeah. But they weren't used. And It's honoring some of the great presidents.
Mr. President, thank you so much for taking the time today. It was an honor to see you.
All right, guys, let's make sure to get that support up, because then I'll just have to shut down the live and y'all won't see me until, well, tomorrow. And if you don't want that, make sure to support the live, guys. But all right, guys, let's get into the next interview. We can go ahead and get the support up. I'll keep the show going. If not, we'll just end it here. It is what it is. But all right, guys, let's go to the next video.
Mr. President, it's great to see you. Thanks for the time.
Nice seeing you.
Threw away all my questions. One question I had, we did this 5 years ago. I don't think you reflect too much because you're looking forward, but can you believe what's happened in the world and what's happened to you over the past 5 years? I just can't help but think that it's been just something to reflect. It's incredible, the 5 years.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a great ride. We've had a lot of fun, and nothing's easy in life, but you keep at it. We have a tremendous economy going right now, and we have a country that's the hottest country anywhere in the world. And this took place over 1 year. We just celebrated the first year, as you know.
Here's how I was going to start. I was going to say it was very compelling in terms of talking about what you've done in the first year domestically, but also very compelling in the case you made about Greenland. So I was going to ask you, did you see any of your European cohorts nodding? But I guess I don't have to ask that now because of the news that it breaks very quickly. Can you go into what you just talked about with the NATO meeting?
Well, we have a concept of a deal. I think it's going to be a very good deal for the United States, also for them. And we're going to work together on something having to do with the Arctic as a whole, but also Greenland. And it has to do with the security, great security, strong security, and other things.
The market, 600 points, getting back a lot of some of the nervousness we had in the last couple of days. The tariffs are off. Nothing happens on February 1st.
No, we took that off because it looks like we have pretty much a concept of a deal.
Yeah. A deal of ownership, a deal.
Well, it's a little bit complex, but we'll
explain. Well, I mean, let's be honest. When we kind of took that Venezuelan oil, that put China in a very tough spot. I mean, China mainly runs off oil. Like, let's not play stupid. I know they love to sit here and preach about green energy, but they mainly run off oil. So when we took a good amount of oil from them, when we took over Venezuela, or we blocked it from going to them, that put them in a very tight position to now where they got to play nice.